Hello everyone, welcome to CGTN's live stream, China Up Close. I'm Liu Jiaxin coming to you live in Yantai, Shandong province. Since April the 25th, over 50 international and Chinese journalists embarked on an exciting journey through Shandong province. We started from the birthplace of Confucius in Qilu, and then we traveled to a beautiful coastal city in Qingdao, and now Yantai is our end node. It's a maritime innovation hub. And joining me today are four beautiful and outstanding reporters from Cambodia, Slovenia, Slovakia, and South Africa. Welcome all to our CGTN show.
Thank you so much.
So it's a perfect time, perfect place to reflect on our journey over the past 4 days. Why don't each of you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Thank you for the great welcoming. So my name is Sri Manop, and I am a fresh journalist from Cambodia. And I love to explore stories that related to culture and also balance the modernity and also traditional. And as I am so grateful to be here today with all of you guys, and also here in Shandong with journalists from different countries, as I like to experience new things, also learn from different perspectives, and also sharing insights that resonate cross-border.
Thank you. Welcome to the club.
Thank you.
Mika.
Thank you. My name is Mojca Pišek. I come from Slovenia. I go by nickname Mika, which is kind of an international name that I've been using during my travels, a name that a lot of international friends and followers on social media know me by. I'm a journalist with 18 years of expertise. In the last, decade, I have also been an essayist, a writer, during which time I've published a couple of books. And I've also been traveling in the last decade, and my second book is about those travels, primarily through Latin America. And yeah, those travels have eventually led me right here, right now, to China.
Wow, quite a senior that travels a lot. Lucia?
Good evening, China, and good afternoon to Europe. My name is Lucia Hubinska. I am a lecturer in the field of media and communications at the university in London. I teach sports journalists and sports broadcasters, but I'm also myself a journalist, a writer, a publicist, political commentator in my own country, in Slovakia.
Wow, welcome.
Thank you.
And Franz?
Thank you so much, Liu. I'm Franz Loamachati. I am a multimedia journalist from South Africa. Of course, the beautiful and diverse South Africa. I am so excited to be in part of this program. I bring with me over 20 years of working experience in the industry. But apart from that, I'm the president of the Media and Communicators Network of South Africa, which is a network of journalists in South Africa. But this China Up Close experience or tour, it's one that stands out, apart from the fact that I have covered a number of interesting and global events, news events. Mm-hmm. So this stands out because in this program, in short space of time, we got to have an opportunity to see the blend of China's cultural wealth, technological advancement, talking about innovation, and also industry, how industry work, which then also says, gives us a perspective of the future of work. So in this program, I think one thing that I'm so grateful for is having been part of a few journalists. I'm saying few journalists because I'm talking about 60 and selected. I'm the only one from South Africa. And each of the colleagues that are in this program are the only ones from their respective countries. So that is a privilege on its own. So we got to get to learn and discover this to this point. But, the 3 or 4 items that I mentioned, the culture, the technological advancement, and the industry, or how the industry it's moving here, particularly in the province of Shandong. Mm-hmm. It's so amazing, and we have learned a lot, and I want to believe that that is one thing that my colleagues will also concur to.
Looks like apart from Confucius' hometown, you have found a lot of other aspects about Shandong province.
Of course, I've learned a lot. I mean, I've also seen a number of things. I mean, I was also, or we were also able to actually transcend from the rural to the urban, from the urban to the rural. And in all this transition, when we're moving from Tufu to where we are today, Yantai, we have been able to experience how China, how the province of Shandong operates. And that is so amazing. And that is one thing that I believe that all of us, we have to take home with.
Exactly. I also wonder how the rest of three of you think about our journey. Over the past 4 days, we've on a tight schedule. We're on the road most of the time, but we also check multiple spots that differ from each other. So I want to know, maybe Mao's take?
Sure. Well, despite all the long journey that we have made together, I still find this very interesting and also inspiring. I felt like a deep connection in cultural with this place because, everywhere you go, it offers you a unique thing to learn, and also experiencing the deep cultural aspect and witnessing the dynamic growth of innovation that Shandong is experiencing. I think, it is very, very beautiful.
Exactly. Wow. Glad you like it.
Of course.
Mika, what about you?
I feel privileged to be able to be a part of the trip, of the experience, of the program as such. I really do appreciate how much effort is put into organizing these kinds of experiences. I really appreciate the just impeccability of the organization, of everything running really smoothly. We get to experience, see so many places, learn about so many places, about so many topics in such a short period of time. And being a traveler, I know how hard that is to organize when you're traveling solo, when you're traveling on your own. So I do have to say this is it's a priceless experience.
This is really a trip that you don't have to worry about anything else. Yeah, just focus on your work, focus on the report. Yeah. Lucia?
Yes, likewise, like Mika said, I share the feeling of being very privileged to be here. And at the same time, we have seen some extraordinary things. We have seen really China up close. We have seen very authentic sites, very authentic experiences. We have seen both the traditions and the modernity. But besides all of what we have seen, or beyond that, there is a great effort of the people who are putting this together, who are making sure all day, all night, that we are having the best experience we can possibly have. And I would say the best highlight of this whole trip is the local people in the places where we traveled, and their warmth and their friendliness and their openness and the way that they are interested in learning about us, or the way that they are happy to see us. I've been living abroad for many years, so I know how it is to be a foreigner or an immigrant, but I have never felt so welcome anywhere else in the world.
Wow, in multiple scenic spots. Yes, Mo?
I think I do share this perspective with Mika and Lucia, because besides the language barrier, everywhere you go, there will be someone who will step up and willing to help you, in translation and supporting you. And also, I would like to take a moment to appreciate the team, for their great efforts in making this trip very relaxing for us. Like you mentioned, we only have to focus on our work. You just pack your bag and you go. You don't worry about preparing anything. So
yes,
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I noticed that in multiple scenic spots, especially the younger generation of students who look at you guys and waving, hey, and let's take a picture. They're really energetic, and they really love you guys.
And I can add on that. That is a moment of pride, when you are in a foreign land and you get such a welcome. It warms your heart to receive such. But I like what my colleague here said, to say we have been given an opportunity to be able to see China up close, which then brings me to when we were in the Lushan village, where we were welcomed in the cultural heritage, in the way of the the Shandong cultural heritage of the Confucius, that was so warming, heartwarming. But what we have seen there, the dances, the performances, the food, the drinks that we also got to taste and experience there, it's just way above this world. And it then brings me to the point that for one to know where they are going, it is important to know where they come from, because for them to be able to reach where they are going, they need to know their roots. And for China and the people of Shandong to be appreciating and preserving their cultural heritage of Confucius, that is beyond 2,500 years, it then gives me an idea to say China is able to be, continue to develop and to have these amazing technologies and everything, because they know where they come from, and it is easy then to know where they are going. I mean, if you take a journey without knowing where you're going, obviously you'll not know where you're coming from. Obviously you'll not know which direction you are going.
Exactly.
That's what I wanted to add, to say we were able to see China up close.
Wow, cool. Well, I mean, I was about to mention that on day 1 and day 2, we traveled to this Confucius birthplace. Back like 2,500 years ago, I believe it's just a rural place with nothing on like today, like what we have seen today. But they managed to reenacting everything back to the Warring States period, where you can see the people. You can have a time travel to that period and kind of stay together with the Confucius times people, and then you can just be away from your urban life, anything too noisy from the city. Yeah. So what about you? So my question is, how do you perceive Shandong's efforts in kind of reinterpret ancient wisdom in the context of such a modern world? Let's start with Mao.
Well, I really like this question because I think I can link something back to my country. For Shandong's effort in reinterpret the wisdom, the ancient wisdom in the modern society, I find it really impressive. So, like our colleague mentioned, if you want to reach where you want to go, you need to know where you come from. So, I really appreciate the Chinese people and also the China as a whole for appreciating their own culture and tradition while embracing these new technologies. And I think back home in my country, Cambodia, a beautiful country. We are also trying to balance between the tradition, and also we are updating the technologies and all the modernization. So I think these are the points that Cambodia and China, we share the similarities. And not only that, beyond just this similarity, we share tradition, culture also. Like I spoke to you, we also celebrate the Qingming festival in Cambodia. As a matter of fact, my family also celebrate the tomb whipping celebration. So coming here, I don't really feel like I'm far away from home at all. I still feel home, even the food we share, the similarity. I really enjoy the time here. Sure. And once again, really appreciate the efforts of China.
I believe there are much room for both countries to cooperate in that realm.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, Mika, what about you?
Well, I've been thinking already since Boao Forum back in March how important Confucius teachings are, not just for China and Chinese people, but I think for the world, or at least if they are not yet important, or if they're not important enough to the rest of the world. I could say with the words of Jeffrey Sachs at Boao Forum that they should be more relevant, the teachings of Confucius. He teaches basically importance of good balance, of harmonious relationships, of collaboration, of peaceful coexistence between different communities. So I think that can be very, very useful in today's world, where we're trying to coexist, I think, peacefully, communities of the world, nations of the world, civilizations of the world. At least that is, I believe, honest goal of many of us. So I think Shandong, in that sense, is doing a good job, a very good job of perhaps trying to tell a story of Confucius to its visitors, Chinese visitors, foreign visitors. I really do believe that people of the world should learn about Confucius, take a look at his teachings. I guess visiting Shandong, Qilu, all the holy places of Confucius can be of one really, I guess, simple way of getting closer in touch with his teachings.
I'm also amazed when I interview you guys, like some of you even remember like more analogues of Confucius than me. I'm really surprised. So, Lucia?
I was just reflecting on when we went to the Confucius temple, and one of the questions that popped up in my head when the guide was telling us about Confucius and his teachings was that Confucius, yes, 2,500 years ago, very long time ago, the society was organized completely differently. It was a feudal-based system society, which is totally different to what we have today. You have a communist society in China, and one of the questions was, how do you reconcile the differences between the difference of the society then when he lived and when he created and wrote, and the differences, or how do you adapt that wisdom to the society today? And the answer was that it is not always about copying and pasting something, but it is about taking the essence, and the essence of Confucius' teachings are the values of friendship, values of solidarity, of community, values of moderation, for example, value of striving for virtue. And I feel that these values are still present here in your society, reflected in many of the other aspects that I guess we will discuss later on. But I think this is important, is to have a society, is to take from the tradition what we can and adapt it to our modern society. And I feel that to have values such as this, it is essential, it is beneficial, and I believe that's why this nation is also striving in such way as it is, because you are living by the values.
Wow, fantastic. Now I'm learning from you. Yeah, right.
So, you know, I'm one person that believes in education, and it's a fact that for the future generation to be empowered, the educational element must be in. And looking at this ancient cultural practice, or the cultural practice of the Confucius, I realized that, you know, coming from where I come from in South Africa and Africa, and also have observed other cultures mostly, you'll realize that there will only be one part, which will be the part of practice. But when I looked at it, and when we were actually taken through this cultural practice, we also learned that it is a culture that is based on philosophy, and that also they continue to teach those philosophies. They continue to teach those cultural practices. You go back to South Africa, you know, South Africa, there are a number of cultural practices. You go to KZN, they've got their reed dance. You go to the northern province of South Africa, which is Limpopo. They've got the other cultural practices. You go to my province in Mpumalanga province, the Bushbuck Ridge. We've got what we call Dikoma, which is the traditional initiations, but also apart from that, there's some stick fighting. We call that Matuba, but it's more of the cultural practices than educational part. The philosophical principle teaching of those cultures. But having looked at this, having been taken through this, I realized that this is rich, not just only with the practice, but also philosophical practices, teachings.
Okay, so also apart from the ancient wisdom, Shandong province also offered us a quite modernized picture of lifestyle. we've seen like a robotic exhibition that's held locally, and then we've came across like the stories of Hire, which is an enterprise of home appliances that started from scratch, and now they're stepping on the world stage. And then we also seeing Qingdao port realizing some of the unmanned managing and operation there. So I wonder if you guys can, relate this to your home country's transmission or transformation in technology or like digital aspects.
When
Just we'll get to you later,
okay.
friends. Thank you. So let's start from Mao, maybe.
Thank you. Speaking of the technology transformation, I would say China is way ahead. Like visiting all these robotic exhibition, when you enter the booth, you feel like you live in the future of the world. And reflecting to my country, Cambodia is still in a very early stage of technology innovation. We are slowly moving towards, but not as fast, I think. And yeah, I am quite impressive to visit all these exhibition and reflecting to the visit here in Shandong. To what I know, it's like top 5 provinces that contribute the most to the national GDP, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we can almost find everything here. I have spoken to our Chinese colleague here, and yeah, I have learned that you can almost find everything here, like the technological agriculture and also the machinery industry. So everything here, like it's a hub for the GDP of China. And I think this is really something, the key takeaway that maybe Cambodia can learn from China, because looking back to my country, the backbone of our economy is still like when we think of upgrading, we still think of the textile industry, we still think of the garment sectors and also the agriculture. That's still like the backbone of our economy. So, but within this like rapidly growth world, I think Cambodia really need to adapt to higher technology development. And China is a really good model for that, I would say.
All right, another realm to cooperate and exchange then.
Right.
Okay, Mika.
All right. Well, let me see what I got. Well, it just so happens, and I think it's more of a coincidence than anything else. My country happens to have, the country where I'm from, it happens to have all the industrial sectors that we visited during our trip to Shandong. There's a big brand, internationally renowned of home appliances. There's a big port as well. I mean, at least big in the European context. It's the port of Koper in the northern arm of the Mediterranean Sea. I think it's the second largest port in the Adriatic Sea, which is the northernmost arm of the Mediterranean. And yeah, I mean, obviously there are several smaller companies that are developing their robotic devices, their self-learning AI-powered devices. So I would say that perhaps for majority, I guess, of European countries, even Eastern European countries such as mine, that's probably the case. Obviously, there is all these industrial sectors in Eastern Europe, in Europe as such, obviously. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot to take from the way China approaches its industrial development. For example, the port of Qingdao obviously is advanced compared to the majority of ports in Europe. I think I'm not far from the truth if I make that statement. They're not as automated. There's still many more people operating those systems than here in Qingdao, where we've literally seen barely any people other than a few truck drivers driving some containers, right? So yeah, I guess what we can perhaps take from China's development, level of development, is the lesson of importance of allocating public funds in right places. I think Shandong has been so rapidly developed because the government was able to take a look at the situation as a whole and assess where there should be a port, where there should be factories, and also allocate resources accordingly. So I think that is perhaps one thing that we are lacking in European context, just good governance that is able of making decisions in the name of the good of the people, of the benefit of the people. I think that is a very, very valuable lesson we can take from China.
So I also want to share, I also want to add on that Qingdao port story. So I asked the person in charge who said that actually the blueprints that we were looking at, which were operated by artificial intelligence, that technology was developed by their own staff. You know, back in maybe 1990s or sometime like 20 or some years ago, they want to learn this technology, they want to go abroad. And back then, like some United States and European countries shut the door down for them. So they're kind of locked out of that advanced technology and they had to find their own way to develop its own technology. So that's why right now China has a lot of like domestic technology rooted in this very land. Yeah. So Lucia, I guess you have something to add on that?
Yes, I mean, always the answers of Mika and Mao for me are actually very, very thought-provoking and very insightful. So it's great to actually be able to interact in this way. So I would start by saying that personally, I don't prefer to look at countries in terms of this one is more developed and this one is less developed, or because we get into the conversation about developing and developed nations, which I fundamentally reject myself. Also, at the same time, I don't think we should measure development in terms of the amount of technologies that a country possesses. They are important and they can make our life easier and better, and they are great. The technologies we have seen here are extraordinary, but we have to make sure that the technologies work for people and that there is humanity behind those technologies, that these are humane technologies. That's one thing. Another thing, when we talk about, as Mika said, it's not also about what is here, but about how it was developed, how it came to be here. And I think that's the part of that inspiring, that's the inspiring part of the story of China, is how it came to be here, how fast it was developed. There are certain historical similarities between China and, let's say, my country, or even I think Mika's, Mao's, and France's. We have all been subjected, or our countries have been subjected to foreign occupation, foreign domination. We also came to be independent at a certain point, and at that point we started, let's say, self-governing ourselves. Mika said that on the European part there might be a lack of this proper governance, proper decision making behind what do we need as societies, what do people need. I think it's that, but at the same time, it's what we are lacking is vision. Is a common vision for Europe. I'm speaking for Europe because I'm from there and because I get frustrated sometimes. And I think that is very important. It's unity. It's a vision of what we want to do, and it's a long-term vision. It's not a vision of the next electoral cycle. It's not the vision of next 4 years, and it's not vision of populism, trying to satisfy your audience, but it's actually thinking big, thinking about what can I do with this country and where can this country be in the next 20, 50 years, even if I'm not here, and what is it that is the core of my country, that is the essence, and how can my vision fit with it, and how can I approach others to share this vision.
Yeah. Wow.
Great point.
Yeah, so the key is to set a one target and then strive for it together. Yeah. So, Franz, what about you? Like based on
you know, before I go further, I've got a very short answer to your question, which is China provokes the the human, the part where humans think things are impossible. You know, why I say that? Because looking at the technological innovations, looking at the innovative designs that are there, those are some of the things that, you know, most of us will think this is something that does not exist. You get to think about a bridge that crosses over an ocean, the bridge that stretches for about 42 kilometers long. I mean, from where I was, it was humanly possible. And for most people in the world, they still think that is humanly, I mean, it's impossible. And, you know, I'm so glad, and I'm saying that this was the bridge that I'm talking about in Qingdao. In Qingdao. It's, if I'm correct, it is the first to be designed, that kind of a bridge, first to be designed and to be completed. However, now it's the second in the world, the second longest in the world. But that is something that one will think it's not possible. Having went to a number of exhibitions, looking at a number of robots, you know, that is when I said, you think of the future of work. You think of, and I am so glad that I'm part of this program, because sometime last week, my colleagues will agree here, sometime last week we attended a lecture by one professor around the AI and technological advancements. You know, one thing that he said, the lecture said, was AI is not here to replace humans. What we need to do as humans is to make sure that we actually we equip ourselves. We equip ourselves, you know, for to be able to still be relevant, you know. But if you don't do that, if you don't upgrade yourself to be relevant, then that is where it's going to replace you. But it's not here to replace us. AI or technological advancement is here to actually make our lives easier. You know, on this very same topic, we, as journalists, we also, in this China Up Close project, we also attended the
CMG Forum?
The CMG, yes, the CMG Forum, where most of these, most of, actually, if not all, the global media leaders, they echoed one message to say, technology is, I mean, AI is here to, it brings opportunities, at the same time it brings challenges. But that also goes back to, remember I said I'm also the president of the media network in South Africa. So one message that was echoed was that in using this technology as journalists, we need to make sure that we adhere to the journalistic standards. We do not fully rely on this. It should make our lives and our jobs much easier, but not replace us as journalists or the work that we still need, I mean, we have to do, the fact-checking and all those things, because it still remains your responsibility. So I'm just talking about that on the area of journalists. But beyond that, the technology, I mean, this morning when I was about to check out of the hotel, you know, I got into the elevator. Inside the elevator, I found a robot, a cleaning, I assume it's a cleaning robot. It was just alone in there. But I looked at it and it was making some sound. And, you know, because I have been now exposed to this technology, I got in there. I'm an African, you know, as an African, if you find people in a space, one thing, it's so human to greet them. And it's rude to find people and not greet them. And I greeted the robot, but then, you know, assuming it will respond to me anyway. So it was going to the next floor. Yeah. The elevator stopped, and then it went out. And, you know, I was like, this is the future of work. I mean, if we went to the port, when we were there, as colleagues said, we saw this container transporting trucks in there, in the terminal, driverless, operating on their own. And what does that say? It then says, if you are a driver, how, I'm talking about a truck driver today or a bus driver today, how do you, just to finish this thought, how do you then equip yourself to still remain relevant in that logistics platform? You know, because AI is here, but how do you remain relevant? And we can still be relevant in that environment.
To embrace for the opportunities that AI bring to us, and also address the challenges. But don't worry,
exactly.
like 5 or 10 years to come, we won't be in the museum. That's enough of the the serious topics. Let's have some fun. So one of my takeaways from our journey this time, I also noticed that we tried a lot of local made drinks, like Shandong made drinks. For example, the herbal sparkling water. Did you try that? Herbal Coke and some of the fine wine. So I wonder if what surprises you the most? These drinks, these local food specialties.
Personally, I find all these drinks as a pleasant surprise, because it's really been very tasty. But if I were to choose one, I think the herbal Coke, because generally when we speak of Coke, everyone says it's unhealthy. But this is a healthy Coke, a Chinese version.
Well, they say it's a healthy
Medicine.
They say it's a healthy Coke, and there's ingredient like some
Chinese
medicines.
But also Coca-Cola started as a medicine for the stomach. It was used sold in pharmacies.
So I find it really a pleasant surprise, and also the local, Qingdao, it's known as the land of beer, and I would feel incomplete if I didn't get to try the beer, which fortunately I did, so I feel so fulfilled. And for the taste, it's really good, and also the sparkling water, it's amazing to me, so it has been really great. I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, they add a little bit of innovation into the drinks,
Yeah,
right?
it's not just water, but it's a sparkling water.
Yeah, I always say sparkling water a lot. Mika.
Thank you. I feel like I could talk probably for hours about the food here, but let me just point out the fish dumplings with Qingdao, with some very savory, I think, bean-based soy sauce on the side. That was an amazing combination. We've also tried some, I think, aged fermented maybe eggs, which are delicious. And then I do have to go back to the questions of Coke, because we just happen to have a very similar drink in the republics of ex-Yugoslavia. It's called Kokta, and it was also branded as a replacement, as a better alternative to Coca-Cola, a healthier one. Whether it is or not, of course, we can debate that, but the truth is that it remains to be the favorite drink in the whole of region, basically. One of the favorite refreshments, non-alcoholic ones at least. So yeah, that's my take.
Sure, Lucia?
Well, you asked what surprised you, and I have to say everything surprises me. Every drink, every single snack I taste is completely different to what I am used to. The sparkling water tastes a little bit like tea. That's a shock. Then you have your own Coca-Cola, Laoshan Cola, right? So that's what we are talking about, and that's the herbal drink. And as well as Mika said, we also had during the Soviet times an invention of our own, Kofola. It's a Czechoslovak Coca-Cola, and I personally love that. But your Laoshan Cola is very, very close to it, okay? So it's very good. Yes, I mean, the cuisine is completely different to what I am used to, and there is such an extreme variety as well. You have everything. You have so many types of meat. You have so many types of vegetables that we don't have. I feel that there is a great variety, much greater variety than in European cuisine.
Wow. So, France.
So, before I go to the food and the drinks, there's one thing, a highlight of the whole trip for me. You know, what was that? In the the second day when I arrived, I wanted to go to a grocery shop or to a mall to find some grocery. Yeah. And as I walked, how amazing China structural designs and everything are. You know, I walked into a pediatric hospital thinking it's a mall, it's a shopping mall to get a grocery. So that was just the highlight of the whole of this trip, and I continue to laugh at myself, you know, when I remember that. But then I had some struggles, and also it is basically on the language barrier. That is why I had to walk into, and even when when I was at the gate, I actually asked the police or the security at the gate to say, is this a mall? But because of the language barrier, and I was just about a day plus in China, and they said, yeah. And I went in, confidently so. And as I walked through, I realized that I was actually walking now into a ward, you know, and I realized, and no one told me that this is a hospital because I had to see on my own. And when I went back, then I realized it was a hospital. And
but I know exactly which one you mean. It's the one in Beijing.
Because it's so beautiful,
very close to us.
So
yes, exactly. So lit up, clean, shiny.
You know, so you'll think it's a mall. So the food, I struggled to find a number of food, and one is margarine. Since I arrived in China, I only started having a margarine last night, actually in Qingdao. That is where I had margarine, because I've been looking for margarine, struggling to get that. So that is on the food part.
Is that a herb? Sorry, margarine.
The butter.
The
bread butter for bread.
Butter, okay.
So you know that was just my struggles. But you know, a number of tastes, whether it's food or drinks, are so different to what I am used to, but I love exploring, and I've been trying that. But you know, I love beer, I love whiskey, I love wine.
Oh,
and
you're such an alcoholic.
Yeah. So, and also I love sparkling water. You know, that is something that since I arrived, I've been struggling to find. I've been struggling to find sparkling water. You know, when there was this other day, Mao saw me with a 12-liter of water, still water, you know, because I looked around to find sparkling water. I drink a lot of water, but preferably it's sparkling water. I've not been finding that sparkling water. And thanks to now, and I went to shops to ask for sparkling water, but I was not able to find. Instead, I'll find soda water. And in Shandong, I was able to find that. And the beers that I've been having in Beijing, because we've been mostly based in Beijing, the beers that we've been having, it's a totally different taste than what I am used to. And I now came to Qingdao. That Is where I found the Qingdao beer. And that tastes exactly the same as the South African beers. You know, you talk about the Castle Lager, you talk about the beer from Namibia, the Windhoek, which is one of my favorite, the Windhoek Lager, the Windhoek Draft, and so on. You know, those are the types of, that is the taste that I finally found. And I think it had to take me to come to Qingdao to find, to Qingdao province to find the exact taste that, you know, I can relate. And I think when I get back to China now, to Beijing, I'll be able to know actually when I need a beer, which one. And, you know, the taste that I had, whether it's a beer here in this China up close, the taste that my tongue has been longing for, the taste that my tongue is used to. Thank you so much.
But I have to say that although now he introduced himself as a lover of alcohol, actually on the bus on the way here, he introduced himself as a person addicted to water and loves drinking water. And I think it's the first person ever I've heard who said, I just love drinking water. And I hope that you found the right water for you here.
Finally, I found sparkling water.
And if you do, tell me the brand, please, okay? Because you must be a connoisseur of water.
That is the sparkling water from Qingdao.
Okay.
You know, that is the sparkling water that
you
I found.
You will show me.
Wow.
Bottom line, China caters to all tastes.
Yeah, we can continue this in about an hour
we could
or
talk
so.
for hours, like I said.
And we are having
the
great
limited
fun.
time. Well, since Yantai is our end note, it's our final stop here during the journey. In such a beautiful coastal city, we can't miss the fishery and everything about maritime economy as well. So we just checked out the Genghai #1 Marine Ranch this afternoon. How do you guys feel about it? I wonder, is the tourism mode fresh for you? Like, is that something new for you?
It's definitely something new since Slovakia is a landlocked country. We don't have any access to the sea, to the ocean. We do have rivers. I guess not that many things would compare to what we have seen today. But I am not really much of a science person. I am more of a social science or humanities person. So for me, it was beautiful actually to see the views from the platform, to be there on such a beautiful sunny day and to see the Pacific Ocean and imagining what lies in the distance in front of you. And that has been something beautiful. And seeing the beautiful city line and the skyline of this city. So that is another great memory for me, and so grateful that I could have been there.
Sure. Mika?
Thanks. I've actually never seen anything like it, so I haven't seen a platform in the middle of the sea that kind of combines tourism, aquatic tourism, has a hotel, a little resort, and there's a fishery, and there's also leisure fishing that can be done. It's also, I guess, just a viewing platform, a place that you can go to just have a walk, I guess, above the sea. Yeah, I've never seen it before. I wonder if it exists in another place. It is very, very curious. It's a very, very interesting thing. I think it looks good. It looks fun. I can imagine it must be quite an attraction for perhaps children during the hotter season, where when they have vacation, I can imagine the boats full of children accompanied perhaps by parents taking their children to have fun in the water, right?
Yeah.
In that aquatic center on the platform. So yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that playground for kids as well.
Yes,
Also the
yes.
exhibition with a lot of AI fish. Yeah. When I first entered that realm, I felt like, let me see the real fish. And then they give me like AI fish. But after watching the cinema, after watching that video in like 4D or 5D, I don't know, but it looks like a Universal Studio experience. But after that, I feel like, okay, I love AI fish. Totally different now. So Mel, what about you?
I also love AI fish because I got to experience the virtual reality, the VR one. We were there, like, it feels amazing. It feels like under the water, and they told us it was like 7,000 meters deep. So today I went undersea with the maritime submarine. And to your question, like, you wonder if there's anything like this in other places, right? I think there's something like this in Cambodia, but not as advanced. Don't get me wrong. It's built in a different ways, like wooden houses on the waters, like where people can go and relax. So it's also very relaxing. And yeah, I have seen like people bringing the kids to their places on their vacations, and amazing. In short, amazing.
Again.
Like I said, China turns fiction into reality. You know, I've seen the Yantai marine star on the pictures and on the TV screens, and at some times I thought that was fiction, that was maybe AI created thing, because if you look at it, it's a gemstone necklace, beautiful gemstone necklace, just in the middle of the sea or inside the sea.
Yeah, the bird's
That
view
combines
of it is really
that
beautiful.
combines innovation. I mean, that says then China is able to combine innovation or its innovative capabilities with fish farming or maritime. You know, that is so beautiful, and I am so impressed. You know, South Africa is so fortunate. We do have oceans, we have seas, but we do not have something like that. And I want to believe, and I hope one day South African government sees something like this, and with the guidance of the China or the Chinese people, they come up with something like this. I think we are able to do this, but China proves that these things are not fiction. These things are possible. I am so impressed. I mean, this is one of the things that the bridge that crosses the sea and this gemstone in the middle of the ocean. I mean, it's one thing that blows my mind.
Sure. Well, you know, some people are more into the natural way of fishing, some people are more into this technological cutting edge innovation stuff. But, you know, overall, we just want to have fun and try to utilize the resources here and protect it, and as well make it an economic powerhouse for our development. Yeah, so wow, I love this topic. I love this discussion. Thank you, guys. I mean, throughout our minutes of talking, we have charted Shandong's unique course from coast and culture to traditions and modernization. I mean, we have talked so much, and I believe that the local people will be so proud that Shandong province made it possible, that it has generated over $1.3 trillion of GDP last year. And I'm also glad that Confucius, you know, Confucius intellects bring us together from different cultural backgrounds. And also I'm glad that I can see the technology has been utilized in different realms for scenic spot, for maybe for robotics, to make our lives a better to make the world a better place to live. And thank you very much to my international colleagues. May your reporting bridge China and the world, and to our global audience. May you enjoy our show, and feel free to stay tuned on CGTN for more stories along the journey of China up close. So thank you for watching. And I'm Liu Jiaxin, coming to you live in Yantai, Shandong. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.